2023's Oppenheimer and 2023's Barbie, collectively now referred to as Barbenheimer. Is Oppenheimer another cinematic gem from Christopher Nolan? And is Greta Gerwig's Barbie an absolute masterpiece for the ages? Feel free to like and subscribe, and let's find out. Was making love with her eyes, and here's me getting f***ed off. Let's break our way in slowly and review Oppenheimer first. So Oppenheimer is essentially a biographical story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was like the flawed genius, the theoretical physicist who helped to build and design the atom bomb during World War II.
I don't know if we can be trusted with such a weapon.
It is a Nolan film, which are normally big grand pictures, filmed in IMAX, great kind of action sequences and so on, whereas this, you might have heard before seeing the film, was just middle-aged white men sitting in offices talking.
Atomic test.
But when you have a cast like this movie's cast, with Cillian Murphy in the leading role as Oppenheimer, you had Matt Damon, as good as I've ever seen him in the cinema, you had Robert Downey Jr., right?
The Russians have a bomb.
Who is a middle-aged actor, but you know him from the Marvel movies with maybe hair plugs and Botox, where in this he's playing Strauss, a middle-aged guy, balding, grey, etc. In the movie, periodically in black and white scenes, he just played an ambitious, kind of middle-aged, old school 1940s guy so well. Those were the things that helped tie me into the film. I didn't really want to see a movie about the man who built the f***ing atom bomb, nuclear bomb, whatever, right? Here's the thing, and this isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailer what made the movie work for me.
We were in a race against the Nazis.
They're building the bomb in the context of World War II, and it's a weapons race.
We were in a race against the Nazis.
The science behind it is now there, the cat's out of the bag. Once they mention that in dialogue in the movie, then I'm like, okay, this isn't just gonna be a 3-hour patience fest. Once I learned the Oppenheimer guy was like this flawed character, he was morally conflicted about constructing this weapon, then the reason for this movie started to make more sense. Some of the sexual scenes might have come off as a bit gratuitous, but I'm like, overall, the execution of those love scenes or sex scenes might not have been perfect, but it did add something to it, where it's the biographical story of the actual man himself, rather than a beginning, middle and end. They built the bomb, they've done it this way, they had a meeting with this lot of people, then they had a meeting with the military, then the military said that the president, no. An actual biographical thing about the guy's life, the early scenes where they're in Europe more so, and the anti-Semitism. Very long film, but there were enough things in there to make it work. So overall, I said it in the shorts, it had shades of a masterpiece, cinematic, masterful components within this movie that eased the fact that it was a bit too long and bloody made it work. Oh yeah, cast-wise, the other thing, there was Casey Affleck, there was a fantastic cameo from Gary Oldman, back to himself in the 80s and 90s when he was one of the best actors of his generation. Matthew Modine, really as an older, not even middle-aged, almost old man now, whereas I still remember him from Vision Quest in the 80s when he was meant to be playing a high school guy.
How about the dance?
Yeah, sure.
This generation of actors that came through in the 80s, they actually are middle-aged / old now. Say whatever you want to say about Nolan, he knows how to cast a good movie. And again, this movie was a movie's movie. Weaknesses wise, other than what I've already said, which was the length, it was just a bit too long. And I'm not suggesting this should have just been a 2-hour movie, make it 2 hours and 40 minutes. Trim a little 20 minutes off that were a bit unnecessary. And the thing with Nolan, what makes his movies work, Dunkirk, Dark Knight trilogy, etc., there's always like a build-up of dialogue. And there's that kind of Nolan music, that and they're sitting in a room talking, going, well, the fate of the world. But then, you know, at some point, Christian Bale is going to put on the bat suit and start punching bad guys. Whereas in this, it's Cillian Murphy talking. He's not at some point with the suspenseful music going to get out of his chair, put on the Scarecrow outfit and headbutt Hitler. That's not happening. When I went to see Batman Begins years ago with my mate,
For those without decency must be fought without hesitation.
all this dialogue, the world's falling apart, bureaucracy, corrupt Western cities, and my mate sitting next to me like, bruv, when's he gonna put on his bat suit and start punching people? I'm saying, so then that did happen, so my mate got his action feed, but with this, there's no action feed. So you've got to take it for what it is, a biopic of a theoretical physicist in the 1940s. It's set during World War II. There's no combat scenes. The only thing that held it back from not being an out-and-out masterpiece was the length. Alright, Barbie, to be honest, like, I don't have that much desire to even review a movie like Barbie.
Get that Barbie!
Other than the Barbenheimer hype.
Barbenheimer is an all-time success.
The whole Barbenheimer thing is a big hype to get people back to the cinema, so that's why I'm reviewing this. If I wanted to, I could just say, look, here's my review of Barbie. Review done, finished, goodbye, have a nice time. But I'll give you a little bit more than that. Obviously, it's Mattel trying to reboot their dolls.
We haven't played with Barbie since we were like 5 years old.
In an era where kids aren't playing with little dolls or toys that much anymore, everyone's got their tablets and their smartphones. All right, they get Greta Gerwig, go do what you want to do, babe. Make this great film. Oh, sorry, I said babe, sorry. Go do what you want to do, Miss Gerwig, not babe, sorry.
Don't call me babe.
She makes this movie, which to me just comes off as an empty, bitter corporate American Gen X female movie about absolute nothingness. You throw in a bunch of buzzwords, patriarchy, this, that. So they've thrown in all these things that are ideologically loaded, but without a real understood kind of ideological moral compass to the film.
Closer I am to find.
Patriarchy's this, men are bad, but if women are too matriarchal, they're bad. So the smartest left-wing minds can watch it and make umpteen different cases for why this movie's good. But here's my thing, to the movie itself, I'm watching it, this movie's nothing. Alright, it's set in Barbie Land, which is an alternate existence to the real world. In Barbie Land, everything's fine until it isn't. All the Ken character played by Ryan Gosling lives for is to get validation of Barbie. She won't give it to him. She's wonderful, but then things go wrong and she has to go to the real world. She meets a woman and the woman's kid and the kid's snarky tween. Bro, the only reason I was open-minded enough to give this movie a half chance, when I saw the trailers and so on, it's like, oh, Barbie world versus real world. I felt like, okay, this could be like Purple Rose of Cairo by Woody Allen, where they jump into the movies and go into movie world. It could be really meta, etc. I'm watching it, it's boring as hell.
Ideas live forever.
It is a big snore fest. She goes into the real world. As soon as she goes into the real world, dudes are coming up to her and pinching her ass and this and that. The movie's not a period piece. My friend, from about 2014 onwards, I realized the world is totally different from the 90s. I went Barcelona in 2014. You saw not Spanish, but like Latin American, Venezuelan looking chick, Instagram model types, fake boobs, wearing nothing but rollerblades, a G-string and sunglasses. Rollerblading by the beach. No one's even tilting their head, much less slapping her backside. Whereas in this movie, everyone's turning their head just because Ken and Barbie are dressed loud. They're coming up to her going, ooh, ooh, slapping her bum.
Staring at me.
But it's set now. It's not set in the 90s. And even in the 90s, it was not this type of physical assault and abuse.
At me.
Even if you want to say, well, the real world in Barbie is like a hyper reality, that stuff simply does not happen now. If you went down Venice Beach, men wouldn't just walk up to you and slap your bum. Everyone would pull out their smartphone, record it and call the police. So I don't care how metaphorical you want to argue it is, it's got nothing to do with reality whatsoever. Other than it's a movie with a bitter undertone.
At me.
The bit that really lost me is there's a scene where Ken goes to the real world, learns about patriarchy, goes back to Barbie Land and turns it into this patriarchal nightmare world. Barbie has to learn to defeat the patriarchy by manipulating him, by pretending to be interested in him. And then he says this, he says, let me play the guitar at you. He's just talking at her. He's just performing at her, not performing to her. A man can never impress a woman. He's just trying to impress at her. And I'm like, bro, when I was bloody 16 in holiday in France, there was this Dutch girl. She was coming up to me. You are really handsome. You all dark hair Italian. And I'm not saying I look Italian, but she was doing all this stuff. And it's a 17-year-old girl coming up to me. Oh wow, look at you. You're different. The next day, a Spanish or Italian dude with a ponytail and a guitar comes up to her. He starts playing the guitar. Mi amor, llama amor, perché She's gone. Her interest in me is gone like that. He was not singing at her. He touched her soul, bruv. Yeah? This movie just wasn't about anything other than, hey look, patriarchy, Barbie, this, that.
To see the man behind the tank.
Anytime a man does anything, it's just wasting a woman's time. He's only playing the guitar. He just wants to get laid. His whole entire existence is purely to get laid. But a woman is so complex and nuanced and layered.
Barbie is complex as an icon.
This is all hindsight of a burnt millennial woman. looking back. Because believe me, when that woman was 17 and Enrique, the guitarista, came, she was making love with her eyes, and here's me getting fucked off. You get me? Yeah? But I'm supposed to just take it. Overall thoughts on Oppenheimer and Barbie. Yeah, I might have ranted on Barbie, but Oppenheimer's a movie worth watching, taking it all in. I saw it in IMAX. Yeah, it didn't have tremendous action sequences like The Dark Knight or even Dunkirk, but the IMAX thing did add to the grand scale of the story. Oppenheimer was really good. Barbie was something else. We've been so accustomed to not going to the cinema, or when you go to the cinema it's empty. Barbenheimer comes around and it's like you've got to readjust to go into a packed cinema. Am I really gonna have to start a scene at a Barbie film and say, you lot shut up, or you lot can you please stop talking so I can see this highly enjoyable movie? Oppenheimer, overall I'm gonna give it an 8.4. Because of the length, it just gets 8.4. Barbie, guess what? This might astonish you, I'm not even gonna give it a rating. So that's my Barbenheimer review. If you agree, disagree, you can leave a little comment in the description box. Yeah, if you think Barbie's the best movie of all time and I'm just a stupid, obtuse prat, let me know about it in a kind of dignified and respectful fashion. If you think Oppenheimer worked perfectly at 3 hours, let me know about it in a respectable and dignified fashion. I got a big Romance Wednesdays review movie coming out. It's a little surprise. That's something you don't want to miss. So like I always say, if you've made it to the end, thank you very much. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.